Awesome. Thank you, Jack. Guys, I'm excited to be here with you. The LaCroix chugging, that's crazy. You guys normally do that? No? Every week you just in here pounding LaCroix? Um, hey, well, like you mentioned, I'm from Arkansas. I'm actually originally from Houston, but I went to school at the University of Arkansas, and being a Razorback football fan, just by chance, other than the Arkansas guys, we have an Arkansas football fan in the front row. Any other Razorback fans in here? I didn't think so. Okay, but it comes with a lot of highs and lows. I'll give you a high off the bat right here. This is 2 weekends ago. We stormed the field. We beat an undefeated ranked 4 Tennessee at home. You can see me on the left. My baller pregnant wife stormed the field in her 3rd trimester. She's committed. It was a blast. Yes, give it up for her. Katie's the best. I wish she was here. But man, there's some big highs about being an Arkansas football fan. When you're really bad, every time you do something good, it's incredible, right? I sat through 2 seasons of not a single SEC win, going to every home game, traveling to Auburn, traveling to Mississippi State, traveling to LSU, just watching loss after loss after loss. And sometimes there's so many lows, it kind of makes you just question your life, right? You're like, what? And CSU, not to say anything, but right? Okay. I bet you've had some of these moments, right? You have had some of these moments, but like you're just like, gosh, like I thought this was our year. I thought we had the new coach. I thought we had the new recruit. I thought we had this. And I'm just questioning everything. And man, I've had so many of those moments being a Razorback football fan where I'm just like, what is the point of life? Like I'm 5 hours into this game. We lost, 42-2. You can't even score. It's hard to score 2 points, But man, we've lost a lot of games. And I think to say, I look back at being a Razorback fan. I also look back to my college career. And a lot of highs and a lot of lows in college. And especially early on in my college career, my freshman, beginning of my sophomore year, I had a lot of moments that made me question what I was doing with my life. See, a couple bad relationships, a couple friendships lost, a couple things posted about you or said about you, or you lose someone's approval, and all of a sudden you're going, man, what am I doing with my life? Right, or maybe you didn't get in the fraternity or sorority you wanted to get in, or maybe you didn't get in the friend group you wanted to get into, or maybe you didn't get on the club sports team you wanted to get into, and you're just sitting there going, what am I doing with my life? Right, or maybe you said something about someone, or you hurt a relationship, or something like that. And I think college, right, because we have these highs, because we have these lows, it just begs these hard questions in our hearts of like, what am I doing? What is the point of this? Right, maybe even deeper, what is the meaning of my life? What is the meaning of my life? It's a great question. Right, every culture, nation, country, over the last thousands of years, they've been wrestling, talking about this question. What's the meaning of all this? And tonight we're going to be talking about meaning in life, and specifically how you, or maybe the ways you could view finding your meaning in life. And so there's kind of a macro way to approach it, like meaning of the whole world, kind of meaning of humanity at large, and then kind of more personal micro level, what's the meaning of my life? And so we're going to kind of focus more in on that micro inward level. I'm a thinker. I like to go deep. I like to think big picture, but we're going to kind of focus inward. But a good illustration to think about this would be this, right? Who has ever seen a tree like this before? Just straight up pointed one way. Maybe like one person. Okay. The first time I ever saw one of these trees, I was like, what is that? Like, how you even look at it, you're like, it looks wrong. Or it looks weird. Like, what happened? And so you might see a tree like this in nature and you go, well, what does it mean? Right? Like, what is the meaning of this tree? And there's really I want to define meaning for us before I give you guys ways to approach meaning in life. And meaning is really this. What is its purpose and what is its significance? What is its purpose and what is its significance? So what is the purpose of this tree? People who are native to these lands, these are all over Arkansas, Oklahoma, by the way. So if you're on a trail in Arkansas, northwest Arkansas, you're going to see one of these trees and you go, that looks weird. So you're going to ask yourself the question, what's the point of this tree? Well, native people to these lands would bind these trees as they were growing, kind of bind them at an angle so they would point to water, right? And so, like, if you were lost in the woods and you needed water or something, you come across one of these trees, boom, you are saved, you know where to go, you go to water. And so if we look at this tree and say, what's the purpose of it? It points you the right direction. If you look at the tree and go, what's the significance of it? Well, today, you've got Google Maps on your phone, maybe Apple Maps, I don't know. I'm a Google Maps person, right? But you don't really need it today. But back in the old days, man, if you didn't have this tree sitting there, there's a chance you're lost and dead. Like if you can't find water, and so it has a ton of purpose and a ton of significance. And so purpose is meaning is the blend of purpose and significance. Meaning is the blend of purpose and significance. And so for yourself, you could look at my life and say, or you could look at your own life and say, hey, what's the purpose of my life? Kind of what am I here for? And what is the significance of my life? Where am I going? Purpose is past or present value. Significance is future value. And so what am I here for and what am I doing with my life? And if you take those things and clash them together, all of a sudden, right, we're talking about meaning in life. And so I want us to have that lens on as we go through these 4 different lenses of how we can approach meaning in life. But we're going to start tonight. We're going to have a couple of discussion questions throughout this whole thing because I don't want to just talk at you. I want you guys to have to talk about it with each other. And so this is the first thing I want you guys to talk about. Discuss with the people around you what you think your meaning in life might be. You got to go deep. You got to go for it. You got to talk. You got 2 minutes. Talk with the people around you. Okay. Hey, I know we're going deep. I know there's more to say about it. I'd love to hear some answers individually, but I won't make you do that. But right, this is a big question, right? Who does this guy think he is? He just got up here and is making me answer what's my meaning in life. But hey, we got to go there. I think it's important, and I want to give you guys a framework for how to think about this. You see, I cannot 100% slam dunk, without a doubt, demonstratively prove to any of you that God gives you meaning in life. I can't. I could not prove it to you. In the same lens, no one could 100% slam dunk, without a doubt, demonstratively prove that you can't find meaning in life from God. And so we're really left to kind of compare and think kind of, how am I thinking about this? And what is the most workable or maybe livable approach to how to think about meaning in life? So there's 4 ways, okay? I really don't think you can approach this question outside of these 4 ways, how to find meaning in life. Here's the first one. There's no meaning in life, okay? That is a way to think about meaning. Here's the next one. I create my own meaning for my own life. That's a way to think about it. Then you could get maybe a little more complex here, right? I create my own meaning, but God also gives me some meaning in life. And the last one would be this. Meaning comes from God alone. Right, I thought about this. I was like, man, is there really any other way? I think these are really the only ways we can approach this. There is nothing, and then it comes from God alone, and then kind of these in-between options. So what we're going to do tonight is we're going to break down these 4 lenses, right? And you put a lens on, kind of helps you see going forward, and how you see going forward affects how you act going forward. And so tonight, I want you guys to think deep about meaning in life. I really want you to think about where you're at, because how you think affects how you live. How you think affects how you live, okay? So we're going to dive into these. We're going to hear someone's story. It's going to be great, but we got to start with our first approach here, right? First approach to life is that there is no meaning in life. And I just want to be upfront on the front end. Man, there is smart, intelligent, educated people that believe all 4 options here. I'm just trying to answer the question, how workable or how livable are each of these options? So there is no meaning in life. Carl Becker is a famous secularist, author, scientist, and he says this. He says, human beings are little more than a chance deposit on the surface of the world, carelessly thrown up between 2 ice ages by the same forces that rust iron and ripen corn. That's intense, right? Right, Carl Becker, right? A lot of people follow this guy, respect him. He's saying, hey, there's no rhyme or reason, there's no purpose, there's really no real significance to our existence. The same way that corn hits a harvest and we can eat it in the same way that iron rusts over time. That's kind of how our lives go. And there's really no rhyme or reason or significant purpose to why we live. Right? It's kind of this scientific, cosmic accident approach, right? And there's maybe various ways to how we got where we're at, but it really doesn't matter. It's kind of all random, right? And so if there is no meaning in life, right? If you're really like, all right, I'm all in, and I bet there's a handful of people in here who they're like, yeah, that's me. I think there's no meaning in life. If there really is no meaning, no purpose, no significance to your life, it'd be really hard to convince me that anything that you do really matters, right? So maybe you get a promotion, or maybe you have a big achievement, or maybe you get the job you want after you graduate, or you get into the classes you want, or the nursing school, or whatever it is. And I could say, yeah, but that's kind of all just an accident. Right? It doesn't really matter. You're just random, and you're going to die and cease to exist, and boom, right? It's over. And so that is a way to think about it. And there's a lot of smart people that think about it that way. But I think this is a hard to live out, hard to work into your life approach. And I think a lot of us, if you're honest with yourself, you look deep down and you're like, I don't want there to be no meaning in life. Right? I want there to be some reason why I'm alive. I want there to be something significant. I want to live out a purpose. A professor of biology at the University of Chicago, Jerry Coyne. Do I have Jerry Coyne on here? I don't. This is what Jerry said. He said, secularists, which is this kind of category, he says they see the universe without any apparent purpose, but they realize that they must forge their own purpose and their own ethics. And so you see, you really can't live without like no meaning in life. But, right, kind of this modern way to think about this is, but I could create my own purpose, right? I could create my own purpose in life. And so that's the second option here. And my guess is that maybe if there's a handful of you that are in the camp of there is no meaning, there's probably handfuls, right, of people in the room that are kind of living under this banner of, yeah, I'm me, I'm going to do me, I'm going to create my own meaning in life, I'm going to do what I want, and I can make my life valuable because I can, right? And so it kind of goes something like this. And I think this approach, again, I'm trying to be honest, I'm trying to be fair to all approaches. I think this is somewhat livable, right? At some layer, like this can work, right? It's something like this. Okay, my goal in life, my meaning in life, my purpose and my significance, someone could say, is to create a family, right? To have a family, to have kids, to develop my family, to be awesome and be kind to people and do good, and that's my purpose in life. That's my meaning in life. And I think a lot of us would say, like, that's pretty solid, right? Like, there's a lot of people out there living for things a lot less than that. But that one's hard. And again, this can be bleak, but it's a significant question. That one could be hard because what if you lose your family? With that, you lose your entire sense of purpose and significance. And so not only are you crushed from a sense of loss, you're crushed from a sense of meaninglessness that you feel inside of you. Right? You could say my meaning in life, or the way you're living your life, is, man, I want to make money and have a great job. And I want to get a boat and a house and this and that. And you could go get that. And at some level, that will create some feelings of happiness or fun and enjoyment inside of you. But, hey, what if you lose it? Right? What if you lose it? And so this one, it kind of works, but it kind of slips out under your feet. You know, when I was in college, I lived in a fraternity house for 2 years. And every Sunday morning, or like even, I'd say morning, but it's more like 1, because that's when everyone's getting up, right? Like, they're getting up for lunch. Breakfast isn't a thing for them. But guys would be sitting around the table around lunchtime. They're like, dude, last night was a movie, right? And I mean, I don't know if people still say that, but that was always what guys were saying, like, dude. And then they would, like, it was such an analogy that they went on. They'd be like, last night was a movie. And then they'd be like, that one scene? And then that other scene, and like, dude, and I was like, you guys sound so dumb. But it's, you know, it's kind of funny. But they were living out of this mindset that, hey, I can just go have the most fun, do the most things, build a world that revolves around me, And my life's a movie and I'm the director. Or my life's a novel and I'm the author. But here's some issues with this, right? Like, if you find your meaning in something in the world, right? Let's say you're the director of a movie and your life's the movie. But man, we know people that are very capable of directing really bad movies or really immoral movies, right? Or really like things that don't actually better the world. And so you could actually say your purpose or your significance in life is hurting the rest of the world, right? It's too, I would say it's too up in the air. It's too wishy-washy. It's too here for a moment and gone in the next. Tim Keller puts it really well. He puts everything better than how I say it. But he says, if your meaning in life is grounded in anything in this world, your meaning in life will not be able to handle suffering and hardship any more than a spider web can handle a brick falling through it. Right? You might have a sense of purpose. You might have a sense of significance based in something in this world that you can't even control if it stays. And so if you're really basing your life off that, it's like a brick falling down and hitting the spider web, and your whole world explodes. I think I have another quote on here. Okay, yeah, quote from Jeremiah. I love what Jeremiah has to say. We're going to look at Jeremiah 17 through all these lenses here. But he says, "Cursed is the one who trusts in man, who draws strength from mere flesh, and whose heart turns away from the Lord. That person will be like a bush in the wastelands. They will not see prosperity when it comes. They will dwell in the parched places of the desert, in a salt land where no one lives." Right? It's a curse to put your whole hope or trust in another person or another thing, because it feels good. It's there for a moment, but it might be gone in the next, and you're going to feel like you're alone in the middle of a desert. And so I can create my own meaning for my life. Kind of. Right? The second approach, does it work? Kind of. It kind of works. And some of you might currently kind of be working off of it. And you might be saying, yeah, I'm kind of happy, I'm kind of having fun, but deep down, there's part of you that knows it's not the move for the long haul. It really won't sustain. It really can't help you through the hardships you're going to have in your life. And so if your meaning in life is grounded in anything this world has to offer, it really won't sustain. The next one is this. I can create my own meaning. Right, we're getting a little more spiritual here. Right, I can create my own meaning, but also God gives me some meaning in my life. Right, this one, we're at StuMo night. I'm assuming you guys are at least trying to grow a little bit in your faith, or interested, or wanting to learn about God. And so this one maybe sounds a little bit better than the last one, right? Because I threw God in the answer, and so yeah, that one's got to be it. We're at StuMo. But this one's funny, right? Because I went to the University of Arkansas. I live in Fayetteville. I hang out with a lot of college kids at Arkansas. And almost all of them land in this category right here of, yeah. God, for sure, I'm in on that. Me, my own meaning, my own significance, my own purpose. I can also kind of just create that. I had it's one of the reasons I actually want to come out to Colorado, because I think people are doing less of option 3, less trying to fake it. But I was at Auburn University 2 years ago. And Auburn's really similar to Arkansas. Auburn's a cool place. But I was in a fraternity house with a guy. Actually, I was a Lambda Chi, and he was a Lambda Chi. And so we were at the Auburn Lambda Chi house, and he was showing me around. It was really cool. And for about 30 minutes, this dude wanted me to think that it was the coolest fraternity that I'd ever stepped foot in. Like, this and that and party and girl, and he was working it, man. And I was asking him questions. It feels good to get asked questions. And so he was like, oh yeah, and he was just going on and on about how awesome it was. And wild, telling me crazy stories, and these people did this and these guys do that, and these guys, whatever. And then I asked him the question. I was like, well, dude, what's your I was about to leave, and I like asking people this question. Dude, what's your spiritual life like? Right? What? His face changed. He was like, wait, who are you? But I wanted to know. I said, what's your spiritual life like? Flip the switch. Oh, man. I believe in Jesus. Jesus, awesome, man. And, and he goes on, we do all these Bible studies. Everyone here's a Christian. There's these churches down the street. I was like looking around to see if anyone was watching what just happened. I was so shocked. I was like, dude, who are you? Like, what? Like, you're just a robot. Like, you just tell me what you think I want to hear. Approach 3. Right? He wanted to show me that he had a lot of significance and purpose in his life based on what the world was giving him. And at the same time, he wanted to try to show me that, also God gives me some meaning and purpose in life. And here's how this plays out, especially for college students. I'll give you a T-chart here. God and you. Right? And it goes something like this. Okay, my schedule. All right. I'm going to give that to God. I'm going to put StuMo night on my calendar. I'm going to put church on my calendar and maybe a Bible study or something like that. I'm going to give God my schedule. I mean, that's kind of a lot. It's like at least 3 hours. But money, yeah, I'm in college, right? I'm gonna spend on me. I'm going to do what I need to do with my money. I'm not really going to submit to what God says about money or what the Bible says about money. Girlfriend, I don't have a girlfriend. I'm married. But for those of you, girlfriend, boyfriend, right? Maybe I need to put a / boyfriend, right? I don't really want to deal with what God says about that. I'm going to do me on that. Right? Family. Okay, I definitely know family is important. God says a lot about family. I'm going to submit and live out God's purpose with how I handle my family. Social life, that's going to be me. And then free time. I'll give some free time. I'll do the verse of the day. I won't go to that one thing and I'll give my free time to maybe trying to grow my faith. And I think I've seen a lot of college kids create, and I've done this myself when I showed up to college. We try to create these scales of I do what I want with my life, and I also try to give God some of my life. I think this is kind of how this plays out. Something moves over, right? So, okay, I was doing both, but gosh, I've got 18 hours this semester, and I've got a job, and I got a girlfriend, right? And so I'm going to put my schedule on the other side because I really don't have enough time to give God the full attention, right? And free time, honestly, I'm just trying to have fun, man. I'm trying to just clump that in with my social life. I'm trying to do me, family. And ultimately, when we try to say, okay, God gives me purpose and meaning in life, but I also give me purpose and meaning in my life, who do you think you're going to choose? You're going to choose you, right? You're going to choose you. The way you think affects how you live. Jeremiah 17:9. It's the next verse in that section of Jeremiah. It says, the heart, it's deceitful above all things and beyond cure. Who can understand it? What if a doctor came up with a cure for how to make people not be bad? Right? This verse is saying it's beyond cure. Our hearts, if they just naturally did good, if we just trended to good things and treating people well and never hurting people and never hurting ourselves, there really wouldn't be a need for God. But we don't do that, right? We don't do that. And if you self-reflect, and you're self-reflect in an honest way, you've seen your own destructive tendencies and patterns, and you've seen how maybe trying to do God and trying to do you just ends up to you doing you. D.L. Moody put it great when he talks about our spiritual lives. He says, our greatest fear should not be failure, but succeeding at something that doesn't really matter. I think that's what we're doing when we're trying to put both on the table. And so what I want to do next is we're going to have a little in between here. I want to introduce up Isabel, and she's going to be sharing her story on how she grew in her faith in college. So, Isabel, you're welcome up.
Hi, guys. Is this on? Yes. Okay. Hi, I'm Isabel Ong. I'm a senior in Chi Omega. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about my story. I'm going to start with a little bit of sad times in my life, but I'm going to tell you about how God made it good, so just stick with me. Growing up, my home environment was kind of rough. The dynamics in my family were pretty unhealthy, and there was just a lot of pain. I lacked confidence and self-esteem. I was depressed, anxious, and even suicidal at times. I didn't quite realize how bad my family issues were until I moved away to college. So being away from my family, sometimes I was overall happier, more confident on the surface, but I was really even more lost, understanding how my family was hurting me, trying to live life on my own, and constantly thinking about past and current things my family had said and done and just what to make of it all. I was so lost and confused and hurt, and I was always trying to find ways to satisfy myself. Here's a few examples. When I was younger, I thought getting perfect grades would satisfy me. In college, I started getting really drunk, thinking that would make me happy. And I've always had a problem with a phone addiction, endlessly scrolling or watching TV to make me feel better. Those things may have distracted me temporarily, but they actually worsened my anxiety and dissatisfaction with my life. I tried everything, so I thought maybe I'd try looking into God. I started reading the Bible and praying. I learned about God's character and began to trust He was real, and eventually put all my trust in Him and His ways. Life with Jesus is fulfillment, purpose, forgiveness, love. He's steady. His love is not conditional like any of our relationships on this earth. God has literally taken my anxieties from me when I've asked Him to, and He's given me peace and meaning through hardships that I just couldn't handle before. He has given me lasting joy instead of temporary happiness, and I'm no longer defined by the hurtful relationships in my life, but I'm defined by Jesus Christ. I'm defined by who He says I am and His purpose for me in this world. And He shows me never-ending love. God has transformed my life, my heart, and my mind immeasurably more than I could ever imagine. And I hope everyone in this room gets a chance to experience that. God is waiting to provide everything for you, and all you have to do is trust and follow Him. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thanks for sharing your story. And I think that's a great segue into our last approach here, right? There is no meaning. I create my own meaning, a little bit of both. Or meaning comes from God alone. I love the way C.S. Lewis approaches this issue. He says, aim at heaven and you get earth thrown in. Aim at earth and you'll lose both. You know, C.S. Lewis knew that if our goal in life was just to try to get happy and satisfy ourselves when we're trying to find it here on earth, we're ultimately going to lose it all anyway. But if you aim at God, if you look to God for purpose and significance, you'll get both. You'll get a happy life and you'll get eternity with Him. Jeremiah 17, 7 and 8 here. He goes, but blessed is the one, right? We had cursed earlier, but blessed is the one who trusts in the Lord, whose confidence is in Him. They'll be like a tree planted by water that sends out its roots by the stream. It does not fear when the heat comes. Its leaves are always green. It has no worries in a year of drought and never fails to bear fruit. How different is that than the person who's just trusting in things in the world? They are like a tree that's in the middle of a desert that's just trying to stay alive. But the person, and this is Isabel's experience, this is my experience, the person who puts their trust in the Lord, man, they are like a tree planted by streams of water. When a hardship comes, when a family tragedy comes, when a failed class comes, when a broken relationship comes, when a job loss comes, when a hurt relation, when anything comes, you could say, yeah, that hurts, that's hard, but I've got a Savior who went through the same things I'm going through right now. I've got a purpose in life. I've got a meaning and a significance that doesn't just last for today or tomorrow or the next week or year. It goes on for all of eternity. And ultimately, God is going to recreate a heaven and earth, and it's a ton of joy and hope in finding meaning in life outside of yourself. How workable is it? How workable is it? The way you think affects the way you live. I love the way Jesus summed up what life with God is like. He was his guys were gathered around him, and they're asking him all these questions. He goes, hey, here's it. I'm going to sum it up for you guys. He goes, this is the first and greatest commandment. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. It's the first and greatest commandment. And the second is like it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. We said that meaning is a blend of purpose and significance. Right? What if you took this verse and said, hey, I'm going to base my entire life on it. I'm going to find my purpose in life to loving God with all my heart, soul, and mind. I'm going to find my significance in life by loving my neighbor by myself, like I love myself. I think that would completely change the way you live. If you actually put this lens on your life and said, is this how I'm living? Right? The people who would say yes, I think those people are confident, they're secure, they're not worried what people think about them, they're not swayed when the good and the bad comes. And the people who don't have this in the bag for their life, man, they're constantly trying to win people's approval. They're constantly worried about the next thing. They're constantly worried about keeping up with the trends and all the things. And it's hard to keep up. It's a harder way to actually live. And so if we aim at God and leave ourselves behind, ultimately we'll get God and a more fulfilled life. And so here's our last discussion question, and then I'll come up and finish this off. But right now, which framework for finding meaning in life most accurately resembles your life at the moment? For 1 or 2 minutes, talk with the people around you. Okay. Hey, again, I know there's more to be said, but I want to wrap us up. Hey, maybe you're sitting here right now and you're in this camp. You haven't been finding your meaning in God alone, but you're coming to realize right now that you can, and that's actually the better way to go. And if that's you, I would challenge you to tell someone. I would challenge you to bring it up in a conversation and say, hey, I'm currently living for me, but I'm trying to go live for God and find my meaning in life in Him. Again, how you think, it affects how you live. Let me pray for us. God, I am supremely grateful that you made me. I exist, not because I made me, but because you made me, Lord, and I'm convinced that my meaning, my purpose, my significance, my value in life comes from you, and Lord, that changes everything. So, Lord, I'm thankful to know you. I pray that this room of people would lean into their meaning in life and find purpose and significance in you. Amen.